Welcome, everybody.
Hello.
Muscle Science for Women.
Welcome.
We're back. We're
We're
alive.
back. Oh,
Everybody's doing fine. And
just
usually when
fine.
you start a conversation with "we're alive" and everyone's doing fine, it
Uh,
means we're not doing fine.
We're surviving.
Yeah, but
Actually, I'm
you're
I'm
doing great.
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I
Um,
think you're doing
I
fine.
wouldn't go so far as thriving at the moment. I'm still in like
Yeah.
early puppy stages of,
Yeah.
some sleep disruptions and cleaning up pee and poop every 5 seconds, which
How
is
has it
just,
been different than the first time? Is she tougher? Is she more work?
uh no, honestly, I would say it's less work because all they do, like Lilo and Mia, just play all day long. They like play and sleep, play and sleep. Um, but it's just I kind of just forgot about the whole potty training thing and like you have to watch her 24/7 when she's out of the crate and like literally like we have cleaning stations in our house. Like we have
Mhm.
a thousand square foot apartment and we have cleaning 4 cleaning stations
Yeah.
with like cloths and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's totally worth it. But I'm ready to hopefully get past the potty training.
Yeah. Potty training for any type of animal is never fun. It's never a fun period of your life. Um, do you have to get up like multiple times in the middle of the night to walk? Either or both?
No,
Mm.
she only woke up like the first 3 nights she was here. She woke up in the middle of the night like once, and then after like the third night, she sleeps through the night and then wakes up. She wakes up kind of early depending on like when we put her in to go to bed, just because they can't like hold their bladder for so long. So she wakes up to go to the bathroom. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's pretty
it's not
sweet.
been too bad. Yeah.
All
And they
right.
love each other. Lilo is warmed up and they just like literally play all day. It's so cute.
That's what everyone tells me about siblings. So I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll see. I have lots of siblings, and I don't know. Maybe it made it easier for my parents. I don't remember it being easier for me necessarily, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a bit of a rougher September, as anyone with children will know that September is the month of just illness and nightmares going back to school. I don't know how we as a society and the technology and all the proactive health measures and stuff that we can't figure out a way to mitigate every single child getting sick when they go back to school and then giving it to their parents. Like
Mm.
it's a nightmare. And I do still credit our health with it being minimal compared to some other people because literally sickness went through this kid's preschool like a plague.
Oh my
And
gosh.
talking to some other parents, I was like, this seems like really a nightmare. Whereas we just kind of mildly were not, feeling good, but it's still like, when you live with people, even pets, I suppose, although I know it's a lot worse with kids, but like when everybody's sick, it's just like your
Hmm.
life is completely
Yeah.
put on hold. Like you're all just miserable and trying to like keep each other alive. And
I know.
it's not good. And
Yeah.
so Alex, he has some injuries that he's been dealing with, which we can get into or not, but he also has been sick. And there's that ongoing joke about how like man flu, like men getting sick it's like women giving birth. Like it's just they overreact and they're so dramatic. I don't know if you've heard this, but it's like the classic,
Yeah.
just like men are wusses when it comes to sickness, basically. And he sent me this article, I think it was from like New York Times or something, about how there may be some like biological proof or reasoning behind why men actually are babies when they get sick. And it's like they have lower immune systems, generally speaking, and like lower pain tolerance, which all of that I would totally believe. But I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, but it's like also women have pain and physical discomfort like built into their lives and their physiology, right? Like with
Hmm.
periods, I mean, not to mention all
Yeah.
the other stuff we have to deal with, but at least with periods, we have discomfort that we know is really a normal part of our life built in so that if we get sick, we're just like, okay, well, we know what it's like to have to
Yeah.
function, even though we feel like garbage. Whereas men, I feel like they don't have that. And so they get sick and they're just like, I'm dying. What am I going to do? So,
Yeah.
anyway, bottom
Well,
line,
speaking of, oh,
men are
sorry.
wusses. That's all I had to say. Okay.
I
Anyway,
love that. Speaking of getting sick, I want to just mention this. I've mentioned it before. I do have like a sick protocol.
Mhm.
Um, because I was sick, I feel like for like a month in July, on my website. So we'll share that in the show notes, but I think the link is rgfit.com/blog/sick dash protocol. And it's basically just kind of a rundown of um different things to help with like supplements and things to focus on when you're sick or if you feel like you're getting sick. And I feel like it's always just something nice to share, especially if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, I am sick right now. I hear exactly what you're saying.
Mhm.
So it might just be like a little bit of a nice resource to have. I
Is
send it to
there
like all my friends and family whenever they're like, I'm sick.
is there anything in the protocol that helps if you get barfed on by a sick
Mm,
toddler who then also sneezes directly into your mouth?
that's
No, that's
I
an
don't think
extenuating
I don't think I can
circumstance.
help you there. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, truly, like the answer is that you just have to be as healthy as you possibly can
Yeah.
because, and even my kid, the what was going through that preschool, like there were kids getting sent to the emergency room. Kids were really, really sick, and Magnus had it minimally. And some of it, I think, is pure dumb luck. And then some of it is the things you do every day to help build an
Yeah.
immune system so that it's when you do get sick, because you're going to, it's not
Hmm.
that terrible. Anyway,
Anyways, shall
moving on.
we get into some questions?
Let's get into some questions. I want to start with
Ooh.
Claire's question, um,
Okay.
because I think this is just a good one to start with and covers a lot of themes that we talk about a lot in the podcast. Do you want to read it or do you want me to read it?
I'll read it. I feel like
Yeah,
I
you
never
read
read
it.
it.
Go for it.
Okay. All right. Let's try this out. Okay, from Claire. Hi, I'm 24, 5'3", 150 pounds, have been working my big girl job for a year now, and I'm in pretty high stress career, architecture.
Hmm.
In addition to studying for my architecture license, my sleep and stress has gotten so much better after I graduated school. She said I currently do indoor cycling 4 to 6 times a week. So spin class, I'm assuming. I
Mm-hmm.
really like the community, have fun going, and the high intensity cardio helps with my anxiety. I recently added 3 lifting days, one lower body, one upper body, one full body, core focused. I'll sometimes replace a core day with a reformer Pilates class because I feel like I'm more motivated in a class than, I feel like I'm more motivated in a class and then structures correct form versus me following a video online. Um, she said, my goal is body recomp to be strong, and I want to train to be an indoor cycling instructor. I'm feeling overwhelmed with getting everything in, and I've been feeling like social media is saying cardio is out in quotation marks. And she asked for any suggestions on what to do.
Mm-mm. Lots
Cardio is out. No, I'm
going
just kidding.
on. Yeah, it's like, first of all, cardio, get out of here. No.
Uh,
But there is a lot that we can discuss here.
yes.
Like, I mean, there's a couple things. One, the first biggest one to me is that she's saying her goal and then she lists three goals. So
Mm,
those three goals are all different. Body
hmm.
recomp, first of all, body recomp, I'm not sure what that means, right? Like she didn't say, I want to get leaner, I want to get bigger, I want to gain weight, I want to lose weight, whatever. We can make
Hmm.
the informed assumption that she probably means lose some body fat and get leaner because that's what 90% of women want, but we can't,
Yeah.
who knows? Um, that goal in tandem with getting stronger, as we've talked about a billion times, you don't need to rehash that. Those can be very tough to do at the same time, not impossible, but you may want to pick one over the other for a period of
Hmm.
time. Um, the indoor cycling instructor thing, cool. You also are taking what, 6 exams to get your architecture license.
Hmm.
So maybe which one's the priority there? It sounds like you're a very, very type A hardcore person who wants to do a million things, which is amazing. But
Welcome to the club.
exactly. And the downside is, guess what? That can cause problems and it can lead to burnout. It can lead to high stress, which slows down all of your goals. It can lead
Mhm.
to just not accomplishing any of the things you want to accomplish because you're trying to accomplish a billion. So it's not, we're not here to crush your dreams and tell you not to do things, but there is a purpose to creating a good priorities list and attacking things, not necessarily even one at a time, but like, I don't know, two at a time, maybe instead of
Mhm.
5 or 6 or 10 at a time, right?
Mhm.
So that my first thought would just be like, why don't you get really, really straight on what your priorities really are and start kind
Mhm.
of putting them in a list. And maybe if you're doing some short-term goals, long-term goals, like try to just strategize it a little bit instead of just having a million goals in your head that becomes overwhelming and then
Hmm.
maybe leads to some paralysis or just some less optimal decision making.
Yeah.
Um, I also feel like the math is mathing a little bit with like 6 spin classes plus 3 lifting
Three. Yeah.
days. That sounds like a lot. It sounds like you probably don't need to do
And
that
Pilates.
much. And Pilates. So again, this goes back to the priorities. If this getting, becoming an indoor cycling instructor is really like maybe your number one or number two priority after the architecture license, then maybe the cycling and the training to be an instructor should take a little bit of priority over the building muscle, right?
Hmm.
Because you only have so many hours in the day, and it's better to focus more of your energy on one or two things than trying to do a million things at once, right?
Hmm.
But it does sound like probably, well, she's young though. She's 24, so you
Hmm.
can probably handle a lot more volume than some of us
Hmm.
can. That doesn't mean you have to, and it doesn't mean it's ideal. It doesn't mean that just because you're 24 and you can work out 8 days a week doesn't necessarily mean you should, or that it
Hmm.
will get you to your goals faster. Um,
Hmm.
so maybe, yeah, I'm just thinking of
Yeah.
like paring things down a little bit, reprioritizing, making like if you can make a calendar, make a strategy. I mean, this is when Rachel would say, "Hey, if you had a coach who could
Yeah.
help you
I
kind
was
of
just
plan
gonna.
things out like months in advance, that would be very helpful." But it
Yeah.
just kind of does sound like it's wonderful that you have the
Hmm.
energy and the drive and the ambition to do a lot of things, but it would probably help you get to your goals faster if you could get clear
Hmm.
on what you want to do and when and kind of attack it in a more
Yeah.
sort of linear way.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And I would say, just from like to give a little bit of a coaching here, giving like just in terms of exactly what you just said, planning it out. That's what I mean, I do. I know you do this with your clients. Like we plan, it's called periodization, right? You look at, okay, I'm starting here. Where do I want to be in 1 year from now? Right. You can also go as far as where do I want to be in 2 or 5 years from now? Right. Those are the long-term goals. But typically starting with like, okay, where do I want to be in a year from now? And how can I prioritize these different goals at different times to make sure that I'm um, working towards them in a way that is strategic and I'm not overworking myself, burning out, spinning my wheels, right? Which is, I did that for several years. And I'm sure a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people listening to this have done the same. So if I were to put myself in Claire's shoes, I would say, okay, with the 3 goals that she has, body recomp to be strong and also to be an indoor cycling instructor. It sounds like she's been doing cycling or spinning indoor cycling for a while now, right? She said 4 to 6 times a week. And what we need to think about with that is that your body adapts very fast to cardio, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, right now, if I were to coach Claire, I would say, um, if you like thinking about the seasons, right? We're getting in October, depending on where you live, it's going to be kind of cold. You're probably, not wearing a bathing suit right now. So this could be, if we're looking at the seasons, could be a time to really focus in on, okay, maybe I'll take a break from the cycling cardio. You don't have to take a complete break, but maybe we turn it down to like 2 days a week, right? 1 to 2 days a week, and really focus in on the strength and building muscle side of things within your goals because the body recomposition and the strength, those two things you can tackle because we know body recomposition comes from building muscle and losing fat, right? So if you can focus for the next, say, 5 to 6 months on um, building muscle, right? And getting stronger, right? Those two things you can do
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that you're fueling appropriately for that, right? So eating in accordance to that goal. Sticking with the 3 times a week of lifting and making sure that you're prioritizing all the things that we know are important to build muscle, which we talk all about in the Muscle Science Forum program, or even maybe sign up for the Muscle Science Forum program, which will give you 3 months of a kickstart into all the things that you should be doing and programming and
Mm-hmm.
all of that. And that can kind of bring you through, let's say, till February, right? So maybe you do lifting 3 times a week. Maybe you're bringing cycling down to like 1 to 2 times a week because we know cardio in itself, you will probably be burning a lot of energy there. And we don't want you using all of that energy towards the cardio because we want you to have that energy to put towards building muscle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you do that for the next 5 to 6 months, brings you to, let's say, January, February, March, April-ish, right? And then maybe you take a step back and you're like, okay, summertime's coming up. I want to potentially, go into a fat loss phase or a cut. Now we can think about, okay, nutrition, maybe bringing a little bit more cycling back in, right? If you'd like 3 days a week, 4 days a week, if that's what you want to do, still training and lifting at least 2 days a week to make sure you're maintaining that muscle. And that will kind of bring you into the summertime, and then you can kind of reassess where things are at, come this time next year. So that's how I would kind of think about, okay, I do have these different goals, but how can I space them out? How can I think about strategically working towards those goals and not, like you said from the beginning, overdoing it or trying for so many goals at once and then end up not going anywhere, right? Spinning your wheels. Um, and another thing too is, if you'd like to become a spin instructor, I don't think that you necessarily have to be doing
Yeah.
6 days a week of spinning, right? So
Mhm.
sounds like you know what you're doing, and you've been doing this for a while. So to become a spin instructor, maybe if you're teaching classes, you have to be doing that, but you don't. I mean, I did spin for many years when I was doing triathlons. The instructors, some of them like partake in the class and like go hard, but others typically are on the bike, off the bike, coaching people and stuff. So it's not necessarily like maybe consider your workout. And so that's what I would think about too. Like, do you have to be doing cycling 4 to 6 times a week to become an instructor? Probably not.
Mhm. Mhm.
So thinking about that and then just like periodizing it, right? So where do you want to be a year from now? And then reverse engineering your plan to include what your nutrition is going to look like, what your training is going to look like, and all the other factors that play into it. So that's kind of how I would approach this if Claire was coming to me as a client for
Mhm.
coaching.
That's very good insight. Good job, Coach Rachel. Very
Thanks.
good. I would
And then
say
also,
too,
if you need some accountability, you should hire a coach. And that's it.
yes, yes, that goes without saying at this point. But one kind of other thing to kind of finish this off that's more generally applicable to everyone listening. Social media, I feel like social media is saying cardio is out. And again, in our
Mm,
circles and stuff on social media, I would agree that that does seem to be like a really overarching message. But I think that again, if we do what we should be doing as critical thinkers when we take in any information, especially on social media, but anywhere, is to think about what the person saying anything, what their biases might be, what they stand to gain, and not even in a conspiracy type way, but why do they mean what they're saying? So, for example, again, cardio, if you love doing triathlons, if you love spin classes because they make you feel good and you go with your friends and it's your social thing or it's your time away for yourself or whatever, that's not bad. And no one should tell
mhm,
you that it's bad if you enjoy it. If you are
exactly.
doing 7 days of hour-long cardio to lose fat, that's probably not the smartest plan. And there's physiology behind that. That's not just like a judgmental thing. And I know we've talked about this a lot, but I think like explicitly reiterating why just doing a ton of cardio isn't good for fat loss, I think is really useful to continue to talk about on this podcast, especially for women, because it still is outside of our little bubble a huge thing. It's a huge piece of information that people still have taken, maybe from previous generations, that mess some women up metabolically and
Hmm.
also just cause a lot of undue stress. But there are so many reasons why cardio is good in terms of moving and getting your heart rate up and increasing cardiovascular fitness and the pleasure that you derive from it. All of those things are good. But beasting yourself with low level, slogging, unfun cardio to burn calories is not the most effective thing. And it's not a judgment thing and it's not a gender thing. It's just a physiology thing. If you do that, first of all, it's just a ton of time that's like slowly burning calories. So it's kind of a waste of time in that regard.
Hmm.
Your body will also compensate very intelligently in ways like you might snack a little bit more. You might eat a little bit more when you're doing 7 hours more of low level cardio every week. You may also, outside of the gym, not move as much when we know, and we've talked about this a ton, that our non exercise movement is what is burning the majority of our calories during the day. So if we're doing an extra half hour of cardio to burn calories and then we spend the rest of the day sitting around because we're tired, we're really, our priorities are are off, right? So there's
Hmm.
just so many ways that we're not telling you you suck because you like to do cardio or you like to go for a run. If you like to do those things, those are great. But if you're doing it a lot and arguably too much to lose fat, it's just not the most effective way. So that's
Hmm.
why I think a lot of people are hearing cardio is out. And that's why you take that with a grain of salt to say, I want to be a spin instructor. I like this activity. Nothing wrong with it. Do I need to do it 6, 7 days a week, especially to body recomp? No. Right.
Hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah. And one other thing just to end this off too. She did mention that like she likes doing it because it helps, I think she said with her anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So I was absolutely in these shoes years ago. I loved cardio, loved the feelings that I got from running and cycling and spinning and all of that stuff. And I did think, and even like CrossFit too, like the high intensity from that, like I was like, oh yeah, this is absolutely helping my mental health. Like this is my therapy, right? However, if we really dig a little deeper and think through, like, okay, is this actually helping or is it actually causing more anxiety from an underlying stressor that like this low level stress that you've been putting your body under that it can't recover from because you've been pushing it so hard with the cardio. Um, so I would rethink kind of like, okay, is this actually helping my anxiety or is it potentially causing things to actually continue to go downhill? And so I think it's all
Mm-hmm.
comes back to what we talk about, like finding that balance between, okay, yes, you can absolutely go to spin class and, feel good from that and, whatever it may be. But if you're overdoing it, even if it doesn't necessarily feel like it in the moment, right? Your body is very, very smart. And if you're not taking care of it, if you're not eating enough, especially with those spin classes, you're like slowly burning that fire, right? Like it's slowly burning out, right? And it might not feel it right now, but eventually that flame is going to go out and you're going to be like, well, crap,
Mm.
now I don't know what to do. So I would maybe think about that before you get to that point.
That is a hard truth that some people listening may not want to hear, but it is a
Mhm.
very good point. Is it therapy or is it just an hour-long distraction and some endorphins that
Mm.
make you feel good for a minute? And I would even go further to say that the people who really think that the gym is their therapy probably are not going to real therapy because there
Mhm.
is a difference.
Yeah.
There's definitely a difference. It's great.
Yeah.
It can definitely be a stress relief and it can definitely be a good addition to your mental health promoting
Mhm.
plans. But therapy is therapy and we should all be
Yeah.
going. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I've been spending a lot more time in the gym this past month or two just because I've been home more. And I've also just been like having other life stuff. So like being in the gym is my favorite part of the day. And I used to like a few years ago, I used to like call it my therapy, right? Working out was like, that's my therapy because it feels really good. And now I don't use that term because it's not therapy. It's exactly what you just said. It could be a form of just like making you feel good, making you feel confident and strong. But instead, I kind of use the term like it's my happy place now.
Hmm.
Like I go
Hmm.
to the gym, it's my happy place. I feel great when I'm there. Um, and when I leave, I feel even more amazing. But I don't look at it as like a type of therapy. It's more just part of my life and it's my happy place. Sometimes more happy place at certain
Hmm.
times than others, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll be
Anyway.
interested to see what people think about that little
Mhm.
side conversation because I think that's actually a really valid point and something we should all be. It's hard to kind of be introspective and think like, have I been using this as a bit of a band-aid,
Yeah.
or is it, what I think it is? Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. We have a
Also, wait,
yeah.
okay, I want to say one more thing. It's not really related to this, but you
Okay.
know how people say like music is therapy
Mm-hmm.
too?
Mm-hmm.
Which I do feel like it kind of goes along with that too. Like it's not actual therapy, but like listening to music and different types of music can make you feel certain types of ways. I've been using music a lot more too,
Mm-hmm.
especially, just throughout the day in the gym. And I did create another playlist, so I wanted to
Mm.
share that. So
What is
I
it?
created that. It's called Vibey, Vibey. I'll
Mm-hmm.
share it with you. And it's just like kind of it is like EDM, but like very vibey kind of that's the only word I know to describe it. Just
All
like
right.
kind of happy. Some of the songs are maybe a little bit sad in the sense of like the words, but they're also like vibey. So if you're feeling a certain type of way,
If
I
you're
don't know.
feeling emo, but you also want to have some vibes, you can listen to this music.
Literally, exactly. Maybe I should rename it
Emo,
emo
but
but
vibes.
vibey. Emo but vibes. Okay,
Here's the thing.
I think I'm renaming it to that because that's awesome.
Here's the thing. I'm glad I could help. Things can be therapeutic and not
Mhm.
be therapy, or more specifically, a replacement for therapy, right?
Absolutely. That's a great way
So
to put it. I love
add
that.
it to your toolbox. It's
Mhm.
therapeutic. It's not therapy. Um, I
Amazing.
think I should make a playlist too that is all, I've learned this term relatively recently. I don't know if you've heard it before. And again, we're in a slightly different age category, so this isn't as good for you, but yacht rock. Have you heard of this? The term yacht rock?
No, I thought you were gonna say demur or whatever that
I
term
don't know
is
what
going
that word
around.
is. Oh,
You've never heard
demure,
that?
demure, demure.
Demure, whatever.
Yeah, that's
No, what,
I
what's
know
what
what
did you
that
just
word
say?
means.
Pop rock?
No,
Yacht rock?
yacht rock, like you're on a yacht. So basically, the
Oh,
description is, and again, probably most people
yacht
kind of
rock.
the age of like maybe late 30s and up, like millennials and Gen X will know what I'm talking about with yacht rock, whereas like boomers will be like, that's actually just my music. But yacht rock is like oldie, like rock, but sort of also dad rock. It's like not hardcore rock and roll. It's not even like Rolling Stones kind of rock and roll. It's more like oh my goodness, like
I think you just need to make a playlist because I'm very interested now.
yes, it's
I've never
like
heard this term,
hold on, where's my
yacht
phone? I
rock.
because I basically have a list. I just need to rename it. But it's I love this music, and I think I grew up with, boomer parents, and so they listened to 70s rock, which is amazing, and 70s and 80s, and some of the more like chill, you might like it for the vibes a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, but it's just awesome, but it's from like a time that I'm not really a part of, so I don't have a deep emotional connection to it because unlike you, I don't want to feel like I don't unlike a lot of people, I don't want to
Yeah.
feel like super sad or emotional when I listen to music. I just want it to be
Yeah.
chill, Like Neil
Yeah.
Young is
I don't,
yacht
yeah.
rock. Um, let me see. The Kinks are good. That's not where's a really good example of yacht rock? Hold on.
I think we need to put our playlists together and share
Oh my
them
God, they
in
will
this
be
episode.
very different vibes. I'll tell you that. Fleetwood Mac is like a perfect
Okay.
example. So yeah, I'll make a list too. Anyway, because I just
Okay.
there's a real freedom that comes from embracing. I've
Hmm.
talked about this before, but like embracing certain periods of music and being like, I don't have to know who Chapel wrote, whatever her name. I don't need to know who she is. Like, I'm sure her music is good. I don't really care. I will listen
Yeah.
to Fleetwood
Have
Mac
you
instead.
have you ever listened to Two Friends? The
Nope.
Big Booty Mixes? Okay, so I
I
just
mean,
sent
that
you
sounds
their
good.
most yeah, so I just sent you their most recent volume. Okay, so Two Friends, it's two guys and they do these mixes that are just like take old like all different types of songs and just like mix it into like one huge like hour long uh song basically. And they're really, really good. So I want you to whenever you get a chance, listen to the most recent one. They have, I think, yeah, 25 volumes out. And also they're coming to San Diego in a few weeks, so we're all
All
going to
right.
see them, which I'm super excited about. So
I
yeah, Two Friends, they're good.
I laughed the other day when I went to a concert. Remember you messaged me?
Oh
So
yeah.
I went to this concert, this guy, his name's Sean Paul. Anyway, anybody who, like I said, is an elder millennial, like if you're in your late 30s,
Wait, Sean Paul, like
Sean Paul, the
uh,
reggae artist.
uh I haven't heard that name in a long time. No, I know who it is, but I wanted
Okay.
to confirm. I
In
just
any
haven't heard.
case,
What's the main song that he
there's a
everybody
billion
knows?
songs. Don't even get me started.
There's
Anyway,
okay.
the point that
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
making is that he was really big. Like his original rise to fame was when I was in university. And so that's what they played in the clubs.
Hmm.
That's what we danced to. And we love that music. And also, me having a bit of a like Caribbean connection, like my
Yeah.
family being from Bermuda, and I dated a DJ for way too long, so like I'm very into that music. But anyway, so we went to this concert. He was here, and it was very nostalgic for us because he still is performing, but he was really big when I was in my early 20s. And so I posted the thing on Instagram and I was like, if you're an elder millennial, like you want to be here. And you message me and you're like, me. And I'm like, no, you're
Yeah.
not. I'm like, you're young.
Well,
So
no,
F
I
off.
like that music
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
but
No, I appreciate that. I was just like teasing you because I'm like, listen,
yeah,
you're not
that was
old
fun.
enough. But anyway. Okay. I think we're actually getting a
We're at,
little late at this episode. So instead
yeah.
of let's save this question for the next one and then let's
Mhm.
ask Alex Duncan special instead to end it
Mhm.
off because I think
Okay.
those are good. So if you guys remember from a previous episode that came out, my wonderful husband, who is the number one male listener of this podcast, I'm guessing if there are any other big time dude listeners, feel free to reach out and let us know. I know men listen to this podcast, but he's probably our biggest fan. And he sent us an email a while back with a ton of very interesting, thought provoking, thought experiment type questions, which I teased him about it, but I also think they're really interesting because we do get so many just very straightforward questions, right? About like
Mhm.
macros and training. And I like some of these more abstract questions. I think they're just
Mhm.
interesting. So we're going to ask some of them when we feel like it. So I have a couple here pulled up that I think could be fun. Um,
Okay.
okay. So Big Al asks, thought experiment number one. He says, he's such a nerd. Okay. He says, Planet Earth needs to send one female athlete to represent the entire globe in an interplanetary competition with aliens. He's already won me on this because I love aliens and I want
Yeah.
to be abducted. Okay. He says the nature of the physical tasks are unknown. What type of athlete do you send? Do you send a CrossFitter, a heptathlete, he says female firefighter fitness competitor? Who would you
Oh
send
man.
to an unknown uh physical competition and why? Like, back it up because obviously we don't know. We have to assume there's gravity. We have to assume that it's like,
Mhm.
within the realm of human physicality. But I
Mm.
think the question, which is he puts it together in a much more interesting way, but the question is, what do we think of as being the most well-rounded athlete?
What's heptathlon?
Heptathlon is, so do you know what a decathlete is? A decathlete?
I
So
know the term, but I don't know I don't remember what it
So
means.
in track and field, a decathlete is an athlete who competes in 10 sports that range from different sprints to um, throwing sports, like
Mhm.
throwing things and javelin and jumping over
Okay.
stuff. So they aren't just like, like a 100-meter sprinter looks very different than a 5K runner,
Yeah.
looks very different than a shot putter, right? These athletes kind of have to be pretty good at all of them. And the heptathlete is a woman, except they only do 7 sports for some weird sexist reason that I don't know why. So they only do 7 sports because
Oh
I
my
guess our
God.
uteruses get in the way or something. But anyway, the point is still that it's the point.
What?
That's probably what the
You're
ancient
killing
Greeks
me.
thought. That's what the
You're
Greeks
killing
thought.
me.
So,
Oh my
so yeah, but
God.
the point
Can
is
we
that
name
they're,
this episode Does Your Uterus Get in the Way? Please.
yeah, I'm writing it down. I'm writing it down.
I
Okay.
couldn't do that. My uterus got in the
Oh my
way.
God, I love that so much. Anyway, okay, so back to the question. What do you think? Because, there's been a lot of argument in the years about how CrossFit as a sport has evolved from the fittest and, be prepared for anything that comes to
Hmm.
these like freak shows basically that are insanely strong and then they make you do a run or something. But generally it's very weighted towards strength as opposed to
Yeah.
other things. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, the top CrossFitter, so like if we look at the CrossFit games and stuff, they are very fit like overall and they do like runs and even has there been like swimming in
Yep,
CrossFit? I
there's
know there's
swimming.
running and rowing. Yeah. So from that perspective, like if you're gonna send somebody to do physically active uh things that we're not quite sure what they are, I feel like I mean, this is hard because I feel like the heptathlon person also probably has a lot of
Yes.
different
But they would skew definitely more towards agility and good at
mhm.
like jumping and stuff like that. Because again,
Yeah.
realistically, I haven't been deeply involved in CrossFit in a while, but like, and these people, incredible athletes, and I'm not knocking anything,
Mhm.
but if you tried to get most of these people, men or women, to like high jump or something, it would be
Yeah.
not a good scene.
Yeah.
Like these people are very muscular, very compact. Like
Yeah.
we just tend to look at whatever sport we're in, we tend to maybe inflate that as being like, well, they're the most well-rounded athletic
Yeah.
people. And it's like, if you tried to get them to
My
do some,
yeah.
like try to get half these people to do like a yoga move and they probably couldn't, you know? So
My thoughts are like with this question, I know it's like about aliens and stuff, but my thoughts are literally going to like a deserted island, like the show Lost, and having
mm.
people like surviving through there. And so when I think of that, I'm like, okay, CrossFitters, they can do muscle ups. So they can like muscle themselves up to like these tree branches and like get things
Which
down.
there
And
are
they
none
can
of in the
swim.
desert.
They can get,
And
well, I
there's no
don't know.
water also in the desert.
Wait, the desert was part of this question? Oh my
You
gosh.
just said that. No, you just
No,
said
I
that.
said, sorry, no, a deserted
Okay,
island,
okay,
like
okay, okay.
Lost, not desert,
Right,
where
right, right.
there's like
Okay, okay.
forest and like water, so you have to like swim and fish and all that stuff. So like I probably would send a top CrossFitter because that's what my mind's going to, but I also like, what are we on the moon? I don't know, like
No, I think well
with the
again, we're
aliens,
gonna
I
have to
don't
make
know.
some assumptions that again, there's gravity, but I think the tougher thing to consider is again, removing our own biases towards what we consider to be the most athletic people because
Hmm.
one that's coming up for me that was not listed here is like an MMA fighter because
Mm,
their cardio is insane. They have incredible endurance, cardiovascular health, also resilience and toughness. Like anybody who has watched, especially women's fights, the amount of damage that they take and keep operating is incredible. They're also strong. They do
hmm.
strength training and they have to be strong to be able to like physically manipulate other people. And the Olympics on Earth started with wrestling. So who knows what these aliens want to get into? Maybe they want to do some fighting, some combat stuff. So they may be a good person to select. Like one of the slightly bigger, really fit MMA fighters could do some damage.
I agree with that.
So I don't know.
Well,
I definitely wouldn't send a CrossFitter, I don't think. Because again, no offense, no offense. They're stronger than I'll ever be. They're incredible. But the top women CrossFitters are, I see it as predominantly strength focused. And
yeah,
that's just
for
one
sure.
thing. That's just one thing.
Hmm.
And I think that their like insane musculature would get in the way probably. So I wouldn't
I
send a
hear that.
CrossFitter. Yeah. Heptathlete who also does MMA probably would be the, yeah,
Yeah,
there you go. All right.
cool.
See, fun thought
Sweet.
experiments. It makes
Yeah.
our brains work in fun ways. Thanks, big guy. You're
Thank you.
hilarious. This is what he does when he wakes up at 5 in the morning and can't sleep, apparently. He sends us these weird
I love it.
questions that we have to answer.
I wake up and listen to Big Booty Mixes while I start my work.
I like stare at the ceiling and try to take deep breaths before my kid wakes up. I need to get a better hobby. Okay. Moving on, if you have any cool thought experiments for us,
Mm.
or questions, or
Oh,
feedback,
that'd be
or
fun.
anything, I love thought experiments, but whatever you want to send us, you can email us at muscle science for women, the number 4 at
Hmm.
gmail.com. And we'd love that. And we'd also love for you to leave some comments on our podcast if you listen on Spotify. We'd love for you
Yes.
to rate,
Share it on social
review,
media.
subscribe. And I think there's something good going on with the algorithm with Spotify because we've had a number of
Oh.
people reach out to us and say, I literally just put in, women's fitness and you were one of the first ones that came up. Yeah.
Oh, snap. That
Yeah.
is
Love
so
that for
cool.
us. Hashtag
Heck
killing it.
yeah.
So let's keep that
Hell
going because
yeah.
as you can tell, we don't do any promoting whatsoever outside of the actual podcast itself. So if you can help spread the word and make us super successful, rich podcasters, that'd be awesome. Like you'd be really doing us a solid. We'd really appreciate that. All right. I think that's it.
Cool. I think that's
Until
it. Yeah.
next time, don't be
Don't be
insane.
insane and
Don't
don't
do
do
stupid shit.
stupid shit. And listen
Bye.
to Big Booty Mix. Bye.
Yeah.